Alright, let's get started. I've got to do micro in about 20 minutes, so we'll have a little intermission not too far away. Okay, looks like we've got a liquid damage A1700 here. This is a 2141 laptop. These are perhaps the most dreaded laptops apart from maybe the A1534 that I get to encounter. And sadly, I get to encounter a rather alarming number of these in the recent months. And they almost always are the same, but I'm hoping this one's a little different. It does have liquid damage on it, but I'm hoping it's in a different kind of way from the more standard damage, which is liquid gets onto the VREG, the VREG goes bang, and it kills the NANDs. Unfortunately, if there is liquid damage around those VREGs, then it's going to be a sad tale. I hope it's not that case, but if it is, unfortunately, it's just one of those things that that's the way it goes. And hello to everybody. I'm just looking up at the chat now. Yeah, that's all pretty quick. Have you ever done official MacBook repairs? Well, it all depends now. This is... let me see who it is. This is Lani. Yeah. Lani is the person's first name. I'm not going to say their last name. It's a little bit too unique and would identify them perhaps a little bit too much. I have one here that runs fine for a few minutes, then resets. A1770. I think it's a memory. Hey, Defcom. A17... what? A17... what? No. A1707 maybe you mean. A1707. Hey, DNM. Terry. Oh, jeez. Rippo. Okay. Yeah, this one's going to be fun because there's actually all liquid through the CD3217s. To the point where I'm not even sure I'm going to have enough CD3217s to replace, but we'll see, we'll see. Maybe I should have saved this for when I was a little more with it. It's been an interesting day. We had our solar finally connected up. It's up and running, but it was a bit of a challenge. Be interesting to see tomorrow, presuming we don't get rain, which we are naturally being predicted to get tomorrow because of the fact that I now have solar. But it will be interesting to see what sort of daily values I get. Hey, Messiah. The trouble with this liquid damage is that it's quite extensive, and we don't even know how much worse it's going to get. It's certainly all along here. It's been in it, and it's been in it for quite some time by the looks of it. So I don't know whether the machine has been sitting and just stewing, or whether it was just very quick but very corrosive. These machines take so long to disassemble. Ah, no, okay. We got bad news here. This is most likely, at the best, we may have an active CPU, but the MOSFETs along here, they're all corroded. So we're most likely, even at a best outcome, we're going to have a dead GPU. It's not good news. This may be a write-off, Jason. It's just not. And there's damage here that looks like we've got a delamination going on the circuit board. It's everywhere, Jason. I don't think this one's going to be repairable. I'm sorry. I'll take it out, have a look, but right now we're looking at maybe winning the lottery might have a higher chance. Now I realise obviously they want data, but yeah, this one I'm going to say is probably going to fall into the non-recoverable ones, I'm afraid. It's simply just too extensive and in all the wrong places. Yeah, it's everywhere. It really is everywhere. It's everywhere to the point where this actually would be considered a poor candidate even as a donor board. Yeah, Defcom, you ruin everything. Good job, sir. Fine job. Your presence makes everything go down the gurgler. It looks like the liquid came in from the back, so it was like a spill on the desk, and then the fans just drew it in. Yeah, Mike Sims, there's certainly a lot to disassembling these ones. Ach, nee man, come on. Give me my microscope camera. Thank you. Hey Jim Hook, good to see you. Alright, look, straight away, and you can tell that's been going for quite some time. Like that, it was on and running for some time, and part of that's because even when you turn it off, because the battery is chewing away. Backlight section, yeah, speaker's gone, or amplifier. Touch bar's gone. NAND is gone. 3217s are gone. That's more touch bar. Those speakers are gone. Yeah, this is basically a goner. See, we've got corrosion underneath that one, and we've also got corrosion under this, which is the 0.9 volt feed to the NANDs. That's all gone. Hilariously, these caps are fine. Wow, it's even gotten up into here under the CPU. ISL's been hit and it's been chewing away as well, chewing away there. I don't want to sound like a a-hole, Jason, but I think I'm not even going to attempt this one, I'm sorry. I will take some measurements of the NAND. I'll take these VREGs off, measure the NAND resistances, and yeah, I mean, look at this. It's an absolute train wreck. And see here, easy GPU. Pretty sure these are your GPU VREGs. They're all hit and corroded through. Fans are still good. The screen might be okay. I'll take the VREG chips off, and I will see what the resistance is on the lines. Now, if it's around about 600, if the person is truly desperate, then you might be able to send it off somewhere and get them to migrate the T2 and the NANDs to a working board, because it's just not going to happen as a working board. There's too much damage in too many places, and it's too severe. But like I said, I'll take the VREGs off and we'll see what the resistances are for the NANDs. Well, I'm not sure where you'd send it to, but they would have to be very competent at moving the NANDs in the T2. But it's not something that I'm equipped to do, it's not something I'm prepared to do. Like I said, I mean, you know, I give a lot of things a pretty good shot, but this sort of thing, if there is going to be a chance for recovery, then aside from taking these V-regs off, I really can't do much else. And this is purely diagnostic. I mean, you can see that's been burning away. As an honest thesis, well, maybe part of their thesis can be why backups are important. I don't really mean to be harsh like that. I mean, I've been caught out more than my own fair share of times with that whole backup situation. I know what it's like. It's so easy for days to just disappear on you, and then before you know it, it's too late. Hey Warren. Hello Upton. Even though it's not the correct pronunciation of your Cyrillic name, I apologise. I always forget every single damn time, and you always tell me every single damn time. We just seem to play this game. Okay, let's see what we've got here. That reading's actually pretty good. That means the NAND itself hasn't shorted. At least I'm pretty... Is that the input? Oh, is that the input side though? But this one here we also need. Yeah, so there's that problem, 0.34. Hey Pedro. Yeah, okay, the input side is... Okay, I was bad. Input side is good, funnily enough. Output side is bad. So we really, really want this one to be about 400 to 600 ohms. So what I'll do is I will knock off some caps that might be causing the short, if there is a short. I am not going to put... I'm not going to inject voltage or anything like that. I'm just going to take these off and see if they get us back. The other downside, of course, is that if you lose one NAND, you basically lose everything. Because it is... You know, it is cryptographic storage. Encrypted, rather. Yeah, those two look pretty gnarly, so we'll knock them off. I'm trying to see whether I can do it adjuster style, but because it is a bit close to the NAND. Okay, successful Jester style extractions. I don't normally do that. I certainly don't recommend it as a general rule, but sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. 0.37, not looking good. See this here, that's the input side. When it comes to backups, I usually like to have on the same drive, I typically have a backup of whatever I'm working on, and then I have a external backup, and then I have a backup that is kept in the cupboard, and then I have the cloud backup. And with all of that, you can still manage to completely fluff it up. But at least you've got a reasonable chance of actually so that there's the 0.9 volt regulator for these as well, but it shouldn't be influencing. Yeah, it is such a... Yeah, that's just a train wreck. It shouldn't be influencing this. Could be any of these caps up here. Sorry Jason, I'm gonna step away from this one. Not only because, you know, clearly I can't fix this, but also because if you do find someone who has the equipment to take the NANDs off, take the T2 off, rebuild it onto a new board, then they're probably going to want it the least messed with as possible. So I think we'll try and honour their work that they're going to completely scream at, and not do any more on that. It sounds like a cop-out, but I think the next person will appreciate it. Okay, I've got some, what have I got here? These are 840 or 850 boards. What's this one say? Another shot replace the screen, now this does not run. Okay, so we might have a board that we can repair. What's this? Corrosion. Okay, replace 7417, use 7410. Okay. Funnily enough, Jason, I find it easy to just put it back together, and that way, we'll see how we go. Alright. Unfortunately, that socket might not work again. Let's see what the resistances are for these CPU coils. 3.6. I think that's viable. Five, 6. 8.6. About these ones down here. That was GPU on the side, I'm pretty sure. 7.2. Should be the same here, roughly. Yep. One of these is PCH 10. That's okay. 82. Alright, they seem fine. The one with the tape is important. Yeah, that one there. This is an 875, so it's missing or doesn't have the USB 32 chip on it. The Pi 3 USB 3232. Alright, so what have we got going on here? So have these been replaced, I'm guessing, by the looks of it? Okay, that's the micro core. Where are you, phone? Okay. Alright, I'll just go deal with micro and I'll be back. Hey, Jim Allen. Keith McDermott. Mike. Hey, Luke. Micro repairs, yes. Micro has diabetes. And we give him 3 units twice a day. Or every 12 hours, rather. Alright, well, I'm going to plug power in and see what I'm looking at. Give me some clues, maybe. Fortunately, I do have chassis for the 1706. one interesting thing we found with the solar installation today is that this section of the house that we live in mostly does not have a RCD on the mains box, which is a little bit naughty. Of course they've got built in. Yeah, not having an RCD is tantamount for dancing with death. Especially given that I'm here in the workshop. It's almost certainly courting death. So what's going to happen, I'll probably get the person, the electrician who was doing the installation today, get them to come back and install an RCD. Alright, let's see what we got. 5 volts, 20 volts, 500, 600. That's booting and running. Alright, let's pull out the 1706 chassis and see what we can see, if anything. First I've got to find the 1706. What are you? No, you're a 2159. Gets me every time. $21.79. I need to come up with a better storage system for my known good chassis. I think just like kind of like pigeonholes, but more like letterbox style, where the height of the slot is only about 30 millimeters, and then I can just have 5 or 6 of them in a very compact area, or volume rather, since they are 3-dimensional objects. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how we ended up with not having an RCD on the sub box, because it was installed, obviously being a sub box, it was installed quite a bit later than the mains original box, and the original one had an RCD in it. Maybe that's what they were thinking. They were thinking, oh well, you know, it's okay, it's just a sub box. The main box has the RCD. She'll be right, mate. It's like, nope. And the only reason we came to realize this is simply because when they were doing the PowerPoint testing in this section of the house, the testers were like, nope, not approving that. That's bollocks. Get out of here. And it took them a bit of running around to work out what went wrong. The only downside is it seemed like they were accusing me of meddling with the wiring at the time, and I was like, no, I don't touch electrical wiring. I mean, admittingly, when I pulled down a wall, I bagged up loose wires, but I didn't actually modify any face plates or anything like that. Interesting. We've still got nothing now. Maybe we've just got a bad backlight filter or something. At just the right angle, I can usually see something on... Let's see, we've got cap locks. We've got a trackpad click. I don't know if cap locks is applicable for when you don't have a drive in there. Let's see, solid state drives. Here we go. Get our trusty 1708 drive. Yeah, GFCI or GFC. Yeah. Needs to say, well, they're not the olds, yeah, they're not perfect in every way. They certainly probably have saved a massive number of lives over the years. And I'm more than happy to get one installed. I think they cost like $250 or something like that to get put into the mains box. I will say I am particularly liking the new mains box we have. It is a much better, much nicer looking mains box compared to the old one that was there. I'm definitely getting CPU heat. I'm just not seeing any data coming out. Okay, we'll go get the test screen. At least on this model, it will give us an output. At least I think it should. Yeah, DefPlum, you need to. I've seen your videos. You need that protection. Just kidding, mate. You're probably you're a lot safer than I am, that's for sure. No, breakers aren't RCDs. Breakers are great for like major current issue, like overcurrent situations, but they're not the same as an RCD. An RCD detects the imbalance between coming in and going out. Big Clive does a nice video on RCDs explaining them. Plus there's quite a few on the internet as well, in general. Hey Harold, how's it going? Most of the cost, that $250, is not just to put it in, it's to actually buy a suitable one. One that's actually a genuine RCD as opposed to some cheap junk that won't trip when you need it to. So first thing we're going to do is see if it will give us a display even with the internal display connected. If that doesn't work, we'll try it with the internal disconnected. We're also going to... can't see it. We're not getting anything coming up on here, so that's interesting. I don't know, maybe CPU's not coming up. Let's see what our... They did walk in here and when they were testing and they go, oh, so this is where you do all your work. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, they can see like dozens of MacBooks in pieces. Niemann, why do I... See, this is why I can't be an electrician. Because I just plug a meter in onto the board when it's in... Okay, 0.9. Yeah, so we've got nothing on the GPU side. That's a bad sign. I feel like it is running, but just... it's frustrating when you get machines like this. And you can feel that the CPU's doing its job, but everything else is kind of letting it down. Though the fact that the chipmunk's not even coming up is interesting. $620. Hey Jessica, welcome back. So, yeah, this is interesting. It's actually only drawing 50 odd. That's not drawing the full power now. What about this port? Same crap, different day. Okay, that's interesting. It draws the power there. Okay, drawing it there now. Now, miles, yeah, there's no job number on this one. Yeah, the CPU's definitely getting hot. So we get cap locks? No, so we're not getting cap locks. So we get touchpad and no cap lock. Crikey, Jason, why do you send me so many machines that I can't fix? You know how depressing that is for me. Okay, I'll have a look over the board, see if I can see anything, but I'm a little concerned about the pre-existing damage. Yeah, that really doesn't feel very... Yeah, that just falls out. What's happened here is during the removal process at some point, instead of taking the board out like they're supposed to, the person has basically gotten a spudger or something and they've levered it out and then pulled the drive out, and what happens is it splits the contacts along here. And when those contacts split, well, it doesn't make a very good drive connection anymore. Yes. If it was a working board, it's probably not now. I mean, look at the corrosion in there. Okay, it's... I don't know what that is, but... Anyway, you can see how it's all very... not so crash hot. There's no retention there. See this one here, it's far more closed up, and you know, it's not squishing all over the place. So yeah, it might have been at one point a working board, but the actions kind of have taken that liberty away from it. And what is this stuff? It's like, did it have liquid damage? That looks like milk. Or oh, you know what this is. Or at least I think it is. I think it's super glue. Yeah, I think this is super glue. And someone has just... They willingly... Oh, I shouldn't say willingly. I think they know they effed up, and so they have super glued that back together. But the trouble is, the super glue, being what it is, which is a very low viscosity product, under normal circumstances, as opposed to thick stuff that you can explicitly buy. Anyway, yeah, that's what this is. This is super glue. I bet you if I put this under the hot air, it will give me influenza, cold, flu symptoms very quickly. But I'm not willing to do that to myself. But yeah, that's been super glued, which means you're basically going to have to replace that entire thing, and there's no way that this board, it's a goner. And there's super glue all over the pins in there. But yeah, they may even use some bicarb in there, I don't know, but it all makes sense now. And you can see the crack in there along that main pillar. Yeah. Dodgy. The board's 100% wrecked, yeah. It's a non-usable board. Like I said, you can yeah, you can try and swap that connector over, but I'd be more worried about, even with that connector swapped, it's still not answering what's going on with the rest, because we should at least be getting a blinking output on the screen. I'll just have a look at the backlight section. Just drill a hole through and bolt together. That sounds like a brilliant idea. Genuine Dodgy Brothers style, eh? I would hazard to say that somewhere one of the signal lines is messed up and it's holding the CPU in some kind of wait state. A hold or a reset. Yeah, it's not following through. Oh yeah, look, there we go. Although that kind of looks like that might have been factory there, but we'll have a check on that. Alright, in this case I got lucky, that's a no stuff. But that's stuffed. So that cap there is knocked off. I think that's an audio section. Boom, boom, boom. What is this? Yeah, it's audio. See what else we can find. This is an old board, these old BO3s. Not that that's a problem at all, it's just more something to note. There's another cap missing there, I think. Well, I know something there is missing. I don't know whether it's a cap or a resistor, but I would hazard to say it's a cap. And that would be something. C10C3. And that's part of PPV CCSA. It's part of the CPU decoupling, core decoupling. So there's 2 parts knocked off, definitely. One pair, make that another part there. Look at this. This thing has got knocked off parts everywhere. There's this one there that's missing. And that looks like a resistor to me, or maybe a tiny diode, but I'm thinking resistor. It doesn't feel like a capacitor spot. Now I've got to find it though. Yeah, it's R7791. That's that one there. And what do you do? PM sleep S3L. Pull up. Okay, so basically what will happen here is because it isn't pulling up, it's never going to get out of S3L state. So if we put a resistor back on there, this board might work, at least boot anyway. So do you want me to put a resistor back on there and see if it can at least come out of its sleep state? I don't even know how he managed to do that, to be honest. How do you... Okay, I'm gonna guess, based on these scratch marks, there's been probing going on. I don't know if I can fix it well enough though, Jason, but I'll certainly put a new resistor on there and see what we can do. Hey Patrick. The scratch marks I'm referring to are these here. They look like multimeter probe marks to me. Pedro, why do you have to bring out that experience every time? You know, I could probably try do this solid state drive slot for you if you want, but let's see, I need 100k 201. It'd be one of those very slow extraction jobs. What I'll do is I'll see if it's plausible by using... I'll see if it's plausible by using a couple of my donors, but let's just see if this board even works first, and then, you know, maybe you just want to give it a shot yourself. You've probably got better equipment to do that than I have here. Yep, there it goes. Looks like we've got a friendly bug around here. That looks like a, I was going to say, that looks like a nymph stage of that bug we saw last night. He's not going to want to be hanging around here for too much longer. He's going to feel like he's just landed on crematoria just now. Oh, good on you, Jason. Rather I do it. That's just so I could botch it up. What is that little ball that I just picked up? Flux. Now, fortunately, these caps, these type here, they're not the ones that go pop so easily. And don't get me wrong, they will go pop eventually. But at least they don't go pop straight away. Alright, so that's fine. This here I need to put back on. It's not critical right now. What we might do is see if we actually do get a state change, and then if we do, we can go and deal with the caps. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and I probably am completely wrong, but at least it does sort of tie in with our observations of the feeling that the CPU is running, but it's just stuck in a, stuck in a sort of a sleep state. And if that is the case, and this does work, then it'll probably be the first time I've guessed it in a long time. And therefore I'm going to pretend that it's a normal occurrence. You know, preservation of imaging and stuff like that. I'm not even going to bother putting anything into that slot, simply because it's cactus. What's going to be bad is when I heat it up, that super glue is going to release some nasty gas. I'm not going to enjoy that at all. Okay, let's hold down the option key, see if we can get a faster selection come up. Come on, give me something I can be happy about. And what do you know? One frickin' resistor. Let's see if I can get to boot off my... It should be able to boot off my test discs. Because I've got a USB-C on these. Anyway. I've never done one of these sockets, Jason, but I'm willing to try it. But I'll obviously go from a donor first. And if I have success with the donor, we'll go for the... Well, I guess that's the most important thing, isn't it? We want success with the donor, so that we've actually got a good socket. I gotta say, you know, I don't mean to toot my horn or anything like that, toot, but I'm actually sort of impressed by the fact that that one was found. I genuinely was not expecting that. That wasn't the easiest of things to find, I must say. And we don't know what other damage we've got on that board. I mean, we do know we've got the audio cap is missing. We know we've got one of the decoupling caps for the CPU V-core missing. But we don't know what else we got, and you know, this hasn't booted yet, so we're not out of the woods yet. But it's certainly been mishandled. We also don't have a battery operating, so yeah, this is not booting up yet. Yeah, I can use this as a donor if you like. This one's just got liquid damage on it, that's the only trouble. So I was thinking this one isn't liquid damaged, and I've got quite a few of them. It'd just be a real shame to have liquid damage in the socket. Okay, so this is not booting properly. So there's still something a little bit amiss. But we've had some success, so maybe I can go ahead with that socket replacement and see how we go. It could be just grumpy because it doesn't have a battery. Hey David E. Love to start a MacBook repair business, but there's always the fear of failing and going bankrupt. Well, it's yeah, yes, no. I guess, you know, there's the initial investment if you want to start out reasonably well without being the sort of person that butchers boards too much. And then there's the many months of actually training up yourself on other people, on not on not on other people's boards, on your own boards. So yeah, there's certainly a fair degree of investment that goes into it if you want to do it right. But then you could be like most people and just jump in and tell everyone that you're a professional because you've now got a Hacko clone or a JBC clone soldering iron and you know what hot air is. This is going to be fun because it's actually bigger than my visuals here. I am going to treat this much like I treat the SSD connector. Not SSD connector, the USB-C connector. It's got a similar sort of construction. I think I'm going to be better off doing this without the microscope. The other thing is I need something to lift it up a little bit. Not really the most ideal contraption, but it should do the trick. Nope, that's not going to work. Needs to be about there. And that orientation. Hey, Toes Tech. I'm just preheating it initially, get some heat in the board, then I'm going to hit it with some, I'm going to pickle the connections with leaded solder. But I need the board to have some heat of those, the pickling to get through a little bit. That's probably a quarter of a Rossmann of flux. I think I found some ground pins along there. You'll actually be able to see this better than I can. Texturing, not a big fan of the chip quick. I mean, it has its uses, but for this sort of thing, it's just a case of being patient. If you're patient, then generally it won't melt it. And the nice thing is, when it drops out, it's ready to go. Okay, time to crank it up to full temperature. I really need 2 hot air stations, I think. It's just too broad, I can't keep enough heat into it. I don't know how damaged it is though. Now I see why it was difficult, because the pins, like all this back row here, they're just ground pins, fair enough. Yeah, well, not even have to be ground, they're just there for holding it in. And these internal ones might be the same, I'm not sure, but the actual data pins, they're the ones that have been difficult, because you basically have to get them to desolder from the underside and of course some of them are going to be ground like these ones here. So that's why it was being somewhat reluctant. Overall, it is still 100 times better than the other one. Now, this is actually going to be a major pain. I don't think I can put one back on. The reason being is that I've got to get all of these pairs soldered, but you can't do that when it's covered in the shield like that. So the shield basically inhibits it from soldering. You effectively have to put this through the reflow oven. The only way around, yeah, you can't even take the shield off. So yeah, getting it off is one thing, but getting it on, I don't know, maybe I can reach through, but that's a real push to reach through and get those. I wouldn't like to try that. Even with using leaded solder, that would be a struggle. And you certainly can't use chip quick for this low melt for it, because it's not going to have the long-term integrity that you need. Yeah, and they're not designed. Yeah, chip quick low melt solder is not designed for long-term integrity. It's designed to assist with getting parts off, but that's it. So Jason, I think I would probably end up doing more damage trying to get this back on. I think it's definitely going to need the realm of a nice infrared station with a proper reflow profile and all that sort of stuff. Particularly for putting it back on, as there's no way I can be assured that all of those pins are going to be properly connecting onto the main board. I mean, it's a shame, because it would have been an interesting challenge, but realistically, it's not going to happen. On the up hand, at least the board does boot-ish. That was an interesting experiment. Well, at least I managed to get it off without damaging it. I'm happy about that. But I'm sure there's a bit of collateral damage on the board itself. I mean, it's not too bad, but if that chip was there, and chances are a couple of these are going to be pretty upset now, especially these ones. Yeah, I think I'll give that a pass, Jason, but I can send you back the board as is. I'll send you the connector as well. Although you can always get one yourself, but I'll send you that one just for the hell of it. Yeah. Alright then, well, that's been an interesting evening. I'm kind of curious. I just need to get a flex. I want to plug that battery in and see if we do actually get a boot. Or whether there's something else at play here. Maybe we've got bad RAM or something, I don't know. I just got to find the appropriate flex for these things. 1708 flex. Bestia. Hey, Catherine. You can do the audio cat. Ooh. Like I said, first we want to see that we actually do have a viable boot here. No point going about it at all when the board itself is just not going to work. Ugh, man, come on. Thank you. I've got to wonder what school of engineering these designers go to, because they seem to go to the same school as car engine designers, or just car designers in general. Where they seem to have this sick pleasure of making it so that it looks like you should be able to fit something in or get that bolt out, unscrew that bolt before it hits the firewall or something like that. But then it's a joke, it's not going to happen. That just as you get to the last turn and a quarter or something like that, it's going to run into some obstruction, and the only way to actually get the bolt out is to drop the engine from the entire bay. And that's interesting, I just lost, there we go. Drop the engine from the entire bay or something like that. No easy getting that part out without going the long way around. Anyway, it just feels like that sometimes with the way they design the MacBook boards. You have to sort of do a bit of tongue-twisting angling to get the damn things to sit in without mushing the cables. Maybe it's after you get your masters, and then they take you aside, they give you a special written secret document. It tells you all these things that you have to do in order to keep the peace in the universe or something. Keep the profits rolling. Okay, let's go. Option. I'm an idiot. Just realised I need the screw in there. Where are you? Okay, that certainly felt somewhat more prompt. We should have had a loading bar by now, so it's potentially still having issues. Come on, loading bar. Tradie Trevor, I think the trouble is, at the end of the day, if you build stuff for techs and whatnot, if you build to be nice, then you probably won't be profitable for very long. And I guess ultimately that's what holds us back in this world. Is that you can be nice or you can be profitable. Being able to be nice and profitable, that's a rare, very rare item. A combination, I should say. It's not even making any progress at all. It could be this stick itself. I do recall one of the ones I had did have issues on the USB-C side. No diagnostic for this one, no. No diagnostic stick. Okay, we do have fan spin at least, so that's good to see. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to flick it back to USB-A. Put it on there. Plug it into there. Plug the power in. Turn on the button. Try again. Let's see. I don't suppose Apple engineers design have a clear run at it. Oh yeah, I mean for sure they will. They themselves are probably closer to being purists, and they would be more than happy to do a lot of stuff that would favor us. But I'm sure they have directives that push them off that course. Hey Francis. Yeah, this doesn't look so great either. But I'm not sure what would be doing that. Temperature sensor maybe, but then the fan's not running crazy. I mean, it hasn't even come up the loading bar yet. It's definitely not normal for these 1708s. Okay, I'm going to try something a little bit... Oh, there comes the loading bar. A little bit questionable, I guess. And I'm actually going to plug my personal SSD in here. Man, that is such a terrible fit. It's about as snug as putting your fist into a bag of air. Or a bucket of steam. So the keyboard's connected, trackpad's connected. The things that aren't connected is just the speaker. It could be ME region fault. Let's see if it even detects. Yeah, it doesn't even detect the SSD. Interesting, it's not picking up my Wi-Fi. I know I haven't got it plugged in, but see, it gets to this stage very quickly, and then something slows it off. Tony, yeah, I mean, I've got one of those adapters. You're talking about these little things like that. I am somewhat wondering if maybe there is a whole lot of errors or noise going on one of the lines. Maybe there's another resistor missing that's been knocked off, or an important cap somewhere. I mean, the two caps that are missing, they're not that important. They shouldn't really inhibit the capacity for this machine to boot at a reasonable speed. It could be that the battery is dodgy. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. But the fact that the CPU is getting hot enough to run the fan, I mean, I don't even have one block coming up on that progress bar yet. The DSO does not ever get unearthed. If I ever have to bring out the DSO, it means I probably shouldn't be continuing with the job. The whole purpose of having a DSO is to not use the DSO. The DSO is merely there as a stop sign for your job. So if you ever get to the point where you think, you know what, the DSO is going to help, that is the point when you message the customer and say, I'm sorry, there was nothing we could do for your board. And that's why I only invested 200 and whatever into my DSO. Okay, that's interesting. We've got this, which is not actually what I was expecting. What? Exit. Oh, okay, so it was loading the recovery software off my stick. That explains some things. I mean, don't get me wrong, DSOs are very useful for a lot of things, but I think that in this sort of environment, unless you are specifically a person, say like Paul S. at Rossmann Group, whose main sort of task is to unearth or discover new types of faults and solutions, then just bringing out the DSO is enough of a time waste. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad I have mine, and there are a couple of situations where there is no substitute for it, but like I said, most of the time when it comes to this sort of work, digital storage oscilloscope is what DSO stands for. Modern day oscilloscopes, that's all. They're kind of like a bling bling status symbol to have in the workshop. They're good for photo opportunities. You know, put some arbitrary waveform on your DSO when you're getting a photo shoot taken, and people go, "Ooh, look at that! That's fancy." Meanwhile, I have no idea what's on that screen. Good idea to put the inverse Fourier transformation mode on. I think things like logic analyzers are more useful than DSOs. If you're dealing with, say, reverse engineering a communication protocol, or you're just trying to find out why your I2C devices are choking on your, on your bus or something like that. For that sort of thing, yeah, it's more if you're actually a designer and you're going through the whole debugging process. What the hell is going on here? Why do you keep thinking that I need to reset my password? The frick? It's like it's not even loading from that, but anyway. Utilities. Shut down. A USB scope is kind of like a kind of DSO. They don't quite have the capture rate, at least not these days, yet, of a dedicated DSO. Did anyone ever used to have the... you'd use your sound card. Your sound card was a perfectly reasonable, if not slightly iffy, oscilloscope and potentially DSO way back from the old days. Yeah, you have a pretty limited bandwidth on that thing, but it was useful for some things. Jason, nothing yet. It's struggling to boot still, but I don't know if it's my stick or something else. And of course the trouble with using a PC for a DSO is that PCs generally aren't running an RTOS, so you're not gonna have the guaranteed capture that you should get from a DSO. But it all comes down to what are you using it for. And if it's just for some slow clocking signals like on a, say, 100 kilohertz I2C bus, then yeah, it's fine. If it's something more complicated or faster, maybe not so much. Yes, Jason, the resistor got put back on and aha, here we go, now we're alive. Alright, so it was just my stick being stupid. Correct, Mike, yes, RTOS, real-time operating system. It should be noted that contrary to what is popularly thought of as being popular misconception, is that having a real-time operating system doesn't explicitly means it's going to react instantly or fast. The whole point of the whole sort of key thing with an RTOS is that it responds within a known, well-defined time limit. It doesn't matter whether it's a millisecond or a second or a minute. The point is that it's a guaranteed response within that period of time. Whereas with PCs, sometimes it can respond in a millisecond, sometimes it takes 100 milliseconds, sometimes it's a microsecond. It's not so well defined, it's not constrained as a guaranteed thing. So that's actually the real difference between real-time operating systems versus not real-time, as opposed to being instantaneously responsive. Can we verify it's i7 16 gigs? Sure thing. It is an i7 with 16 gigs, 2.4 gigahertz, and a dodgy solid state socket. So at least that works for you, Jason. So one resistor was the key thing and someone knocked that off, and I'll do the two caps as well. But let's see if the camera works. Mike Sims, Linux does have a real-time operating system kernel version out there, I believe. The more popular ones are things I think like QNX, I think it was. Yeah, I can't remember. Is it QNX was the widely sort of de facto real-time operating system? I can't remember. Alright, well, that's working well enough, I think, for the best I can test it in this chassis. So I think we'll leave it like that for tonight. I'm going to go head off. I'm pretty happy with what we managed to achieve, even if it wasn't much. QNX was from BlackBerry. Okay, well, what was that real-time operating system that everybody was using? Like I said, there is a... I think they referred to it as a soft real-time operating system. A Linux, there is a Linux kernel that does have soft real-time operating system kernel compliance. Yeah, it does look like something that perhaps was bought from Pedro. Oh, I wish I could remember what that system was called. For some reason QNX is in my head. I just got to check this before we... Someone jumping up on the... What are you doing, Milo? Milo? Ah, he's trying to get up in the roof. No, not links. Oh, wait, what are we? I cannot actually see any there. Not VX works, no. Take it. None of these. No, none of these ring a bell to me. VX works maybe, but even that, no. Let's see. Old RTOS. Damn, that's really gonna bug me now. Rim didn't buy it. Who's Rim? Because if Rim didn't buy it till 2010, then that would make QNX perhaps make sense to me, because I was last looking at that way back in late 1990s. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave this one alone. Anyway, I'm kind of curious because yeah, if it was called QNX back in the 90s, then maybe that's it after all. I'm out of here. Gotta go do other things more interesting, like get Micro off the air conditioner that he's sitting on and trying to climb up into the roof. Alright, well, thank you all. You take care. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. Who knows? Depends what packages come in and whether I survive Horde Night on 7 Days to Die. You all take care. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.